what does step 7 have for us to do? Aha, we're assembling the slipper clutch. What is a slipper clutch? Well, I'll tell you for those that don't know. A slipper clutch is basically a spur gear and a spring and a slipping system that when your wheels are having a hard time turning because they're bound up in a tree root, you're in too much mud, you're trying to pull, weight, or you're trying to pull your buddy out. If the motor is torquing the transmission too much, you don't want all those little gears inside to snap their teeth, because once that happens, you're going to have a lot of work to take it apart and replace it. So they came out years ago with a slipper clutch that when it torques too much, you can do the adjustment screw and spring. So if it does torque your wheels too much, your transmission wheel will actually just slip instead of actually transferring the power back to the transmission and breaking those teeth. So bag A-1-4. Let's slice in, see what you got for me. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, very small parts, so I want to be careful here. And instructions as well. Tighten the nut all the way down, and I'll get to that in a second. And then back off 5.5 turns. No problem. Let's look at the parts that we have in here so you guys aren't intimidated by it if you are building. Here is the spur gear. Here are parts of the slipper clutch. Here's the slip plate itself. There is a very small set screw, a very small washer, a larger piece of plastic, just a little round O, 1, 2, 3 screws, and a papa to the big O with a nut and a pinion gear. No worries. So what am I looking at here? If I laid this out like I discussed earlier, there's one. This one's going to go on the front. This one will go on the back. Where is the plate? Here's one of the plates that will attach to the transmission housing. And here's one on the front, followed by this piece, the spring, and it looks like this fella, and the nut. Okay, so this long line of parts is going to assemble, actually in a very simple way, if you'd like to see. What, do they have a step number 1? Nope, they're just going to let me go ahead and do it. No problem. So with this one, these will be different on the back. Nope, they're identical. That's what assuming gets for me. Obviously the design has changed a little bit. So if I'm looking at this one, I just want to see, because I think it is, yeah, they are the same. So this one will slide straight back, yes, but it only goes to there. Very interesting. Is there a reason why? Nope. It does go all the way down. You just had to wiggle it in place over the flat slots. Yep, I just said fat slots. Always fun in RC. Okay, so then I'll take this fella right here. I'm going to look at the giant spur gear. You'll also see that there's tabs. Here, let's see if I can show you with the light. There we go. You see those little metal, the little plastic tabs that are on the inside ring? Here, I'll show you what I mean, because this will fit right into place. Ta-da! That's what actually holds that in place. You can see those tabs clearly now. So I'm going to do that on the front and on, oops, wrong one. 1, 2, do. That is in place. I'm actually going to flip that over. It doesn't feel like it's there, right? Let's do it this way instead. Yep, so the words are facing up. It fits much better. Maybe it's my imagination, or maybe it's just this particular one, but I like that. I'm going to go ahead and put this into place because those slip plates are there. Those little rings are there already. Weird. What about this little fella? Where does it go? Ah, this is for the motor, my friends. This isn't the slip plate. These are the slip plates. Very nice indeed. I'm learning with you guys. That's what I do. Make sure that they're all fitting. Look at that. I wasn't careful, so we're going to take this one out. I wasn't careful, so it slid out of place. So there's a warning for you guys. Make sure you got it and you're paying attention. And it's easier when you're not filming. No excuses. I'm a pro at this. Quite the opposite. I'm still learning. So there we are. I'll put those words up because it just felt better. And back into place. Here comes this one. Turn it so it lines up and like so. Then I'm going to take that big dog plastic housing. I'm going to stick this over. I'll take the spring just the way we've laid it out. Take that little dog housing. There we go. And then we got the nut. I see, I see. So the shaft that I use the Loctite on is actually for the slipper clutch. And we can turn that once we're done. But I'll use my cross wrench. Where did that little fella go? Perfect opportunity to open up the bag. Now I could have been using the Allen keys that are provided, but I do have my drivers, which I find a little easier on my fingers to use. Cross wrench. The reason I like the cross wrench is it gives you a whole bunch of options for turning nuts. And here we go. So I'm going to tighten this right down, just like it says. I'm going to hold the spur gear in place with my hand. Doesn't hurt. And I'm torquing it all the way down. Down, 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 down. There. Now I could have adjusted this. In fact, what I'll do is I'll back this off a little bit. And I'll adjust it so it turns into place just a little bit more so I don't have that sticking out too far. I guess I can't do too much because it's already in there. Note to self, should have turned it in just a little bit more. But let's see if I can turn it now without snapping anything. Not too much resistance, not a big deal. I'll take care of that a little later, if it's an issue. There we are. So it does stick out quite a bit. I could take care of that if I wanted, but no big deal because I'm supposed to back it off 5.5 turns. So there, it's completely done. It's not turned too tight. I'm going to go full turns. So this one, I'll have to go rotation the full time. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then a half, like that. Now I imagine that's going to be a pretty loose slipper clutch and I'll want to tighten that up. But again, being brand new to this transmission, I'm just following the instructions. So no worries, I can always tighten that up easy enough. Now, what am I looking at here? So this part is done for the slipper assembly. Now the motor installation comes next. Now what kind of motor and ESC am I going to use? Horizon Hobby actually suggests that you use the Tekin FXR and 35 turn combo. Oh, it's like bringing Old Faithful to the counter. My good old friends at Tekin. I've been using these products for years and years, and I've had very good luck with them. So the fact that the Horizon Hobby is telling you to use these as the suggested one makes it all the better. Now I'm going to slide this out. This is the heavy duty hand wound. Is this hand wound? I believe the heavy duty ones are. The brushed motor. I like brushed motors simply because you can put brushed motors into clean water and they still run. You still have to do maintenance and clean the bearings and oil everything and clean the brushes, but these actually do very well. In mud, not so much. I noticed that once you get mud in these brushes, these type of motors tend to give you a little bit of trouble, but if you rinse them out, you're pretty much good to go. So 35 turn brushed, which is not included with the kit. You have to buy these extra, like that whole crawler combo I just showed you with the ESC, which is the brain, and this you have to buy separately, so be prepared. Now I'm going to see that the motor is actually getting the motor plate. That's going to slide on and it's going to line up with the mounting holes. Now there's two positions for mounting depending on which side you want your motor to face up or down. Maybe it doesn't matter to you and you can move on right past it. What am I looking at here? So these look like these are the motor mount screws. This little set screw is going to go with the pinion. The pinion itself is a 14 tooth. And that's what the little washer is for as well. It looks like the washer is going to go on the inside of one of the screws, which is going to be mounting it to the plate. Okay, good. So thread lock. Where is my thread lock on? Because I'm going to want, it's actually asking me for a little bit of thread lock. So I'll worry about that motor plate in a second. And I'm just going to have a peek at where these line up on this aluminum motor plate. Really, this is not a plate, but I'm just, I could call it a motor mounting disc, if that makes you guys happy. So probably about there, but if I wanted the Tekin name sticking out, mount it right about there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and just thread lock a little tiny bit onto these screws. The motor mount screws. Get this plate in place like so. And then line it up with the holes on the transmission. Just roughly, I can always adjust it. Get the screw on the end of the driver. You need multiple hands sometimes when you're building these. Oh, that's actually, I need a bigger driver. What do I got? What do I got? This one was the 2mm. What do I need? A 2.5? I betcha. 2.5 fits perfectly on there. Okay. Well, let's use the one that I used the thread lock on. Thread lock won't dry on you until it's in the absence of oxygen. So you've got time to work with. It's not really a glue. There we are. Come on. It's hard to do on camera, showing everything. And like so. I'm just going to get those started. I don't need to tighten anything down yet. Just kind of holding it in place so I can still adjust. And on the end. Perfecto. And as soon as I said perfecto. There. And like so. Come on. Get in there. Hold on, I need to have a look at this again. The motor disc slipped on me. There. Perfect. Real life RC building right here. Okay, you'll also notice that these screws, they're in slots. You see how these slots are actually quite wide? Don't worry, if you're new at this, this is something that's a bonus because it allows you to adjust your motor left and right depending on the pinion size. See? Why would you adjust the pinion size? Well, sometimes you want more speed or more torque, and depending on the size of pinion and spur gear you have, you're going to want to move your motor left and right. So that's what that's in place for. Now that's just sitting there temporarily. Let's see here. So it's asking me next for the screw that will be going through here. But I'm not going to do that yet because I need to add a little bit of Loctite to this small little set screw that I have not lost yet. And I add it to the end just like so. Not too much, just a tiny, tiny bit. And I start to pre-thread the pinion. Now, there is a flat spot on most motor shafts. See, it's not completely round. That's where you're going to want to line up your pinion. And because the motor's not tightened down, I can move it right away and show you that I haven't tightened the pinion down, but you're going to want to move your pinion together with your spur gear so you have about 1 millimeter of space. You don't want it jammed in there because it'll be too tight, but you want to move it apart just like so. Okay? So you can work with it. People have different theories on how far apart things should be. And I say it's totally up to you. You find a comfortable spot, a comfortable area. Tighten down your motor with those motor mount bolts. Perfect. And now that it's mounted properly and I've got a good flush, like it's lined up nice and flush there, I'm going to tighten down the pinion set screw. Not too tight though, because once you strip it, you're kind of in trouble. Yes, you can get it off, but there. Now let's turn it. Nice. And the resistance you're seeing is from the magnets in the motor. See? And it doesn't sound too tight at all. In fact, if I added a little bit of lube to that, it would be almost silent. So there you go. So that's how you do that part. Now we want to put the shroud on. The shroud only has one hole for a screw. So I'll put that, let's see, how do we do this here? If we do it like so, it lines up with the hole on the motor mount plate. Ta-da! Is that correct? It is. And there's a little slot here. So that is how they avoid using more screws. Interesting. So with that in place, I'm going to have a look and see that this actually goes on the inside of the shroud. So I'll take this, since this hole is threaded already, thread this through. You can see it's a piece of cake, goes in no problem at all. Take the little washer. Oh, I see indeed. The washer goes around that little screw and then into place. If I can line it up properly. Come on, get in there. There we go. And ta-da! Da-da-da-da-da-da! Transmission and motor assembly completed. What do we have? Aha! So, for proper gear mesh, this is what it says in the book. For proper gear mesh, and it is important to avoid damage to your drivetrain components. Loosen the screws holding the motor in place. Place a small piece of paper in between the pinion and gears. So this is exactly it. You could almost use a piece of your instruction book. Set it in between the pinion and the spur gear, and then tighten down the motor screws. Do not over tighten, and thread lock is recommended. Good. So that is it for today. Looks like we have drive shaft assembly next. We can tackle that no problem. And I hope you've enjoyed today's build video. I love you guys. I wanted to make sure to do something fun and out of the ordinary, so why not put together a fun little kit? And then that way, RC Sparks will be able to run a different type of trail truck for everyone to enjoy. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and I'll see you next time. Hey, subscribe if you want to stay up with this build. Bye.